bushy today. Bab is going to tennis. She's being bushy today.
For you. You don't live here. You know, some petty patty is
Hello and welcome to WNHH-FM's Dateline New Haven. I'm Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make the own city tick. Nothing ticks better than Pundit Friday, which we're about to begin here in the WNHH studio at the #1 pundits in the media universe. Except we're missing one this week, who was just pretty interesting, opining about the story involving New Haven Academy. Babs Rawls-Ivy. We'll see her next week, but a week after. But she's enjoying the pilot pen tennis. But we do have the crew. We got the Queen of Quippery and Quintessence of Compassion, La Voz Hispana, publisher Norma Rodriguez-Reyes. We got Heavy...
Oh, here we go.
We got Heavy D, Donald Trump, devotee Harry Drost, the bravest man in New Haven, working the controls, and then
Hi, Harry.
adding in the
Hey, Harry.
grassy knoll.
Harry. Vente.
We got flyest news hunter-gatherer this side of Fleet Street, star New Haven, independent reporter Markeisha Ricks. She's everywhere, including here.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm so glad she's back.
Is that
We
the whole
missed
crew?
her.
Did I miss anyone?
I think there's
don't
one
think so.
more person.
Oh, you wouldn't be talking about the bright light in the New Haven night. You mean the straight shooter from Bermuda?
Yes.
I think
Are
that's
you
the one.
talking about the mystical and metaphorical man on the money, tackle of tempestuousness and titan of temperance? Are you referring to the banisher of bilious bullies, the prince of pleasantries and punctuality, and the sorcerer of scientific solution, the blessed
I'm
beatboxer
gonna do that
of
one
banksters
day.
and bacchanalians?
You should do it. You should do it in Spanish.
I know.
You wouldn't happen to be talking about the bodacious, bold-faced barista Bop, would you? The chess master of chill, the dap-toned deliverer of decency and maximal media maestro, the just somewhat honorable high priest of hip-hop, Joe Ugly
I think
of the
he
Joe
does
Ugly
that
Show
right
in the
before he
morning,
goes to
because that's
sleep.
who's here.
That's it. That's it. You know,
Either
I
right
was
before he goes to sleep or early in the morning. Paul does that. Well, what about Paul? We never give him a title, or we
I
talk
said
about
hi
him,
at the
huh?
beginning.
Paul,
Yeah. Hi at the
you know, we
beginning.
never see him, by the way. We never give him a title, and he never
The kosher
He
capo.
never gets an introduction.
The what? The what?
Kosher capo.
kosher cake. You know what? You know, on at Ugly Radio, you know what his name is.
What?
Uh-oh.
We're a hip hop radio station, so you know he's got it.
MC what?
No, it's just-
DJ Mixmaster Kosher.
no,
what?
no, he's Paul Beasy. You know.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's Paul
He's
Beasy.
Paul Beasy around here, too.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Yeah.
Well,
okay.
thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And folks, you know what?
Yeah.
People are mad about all sorts of stuff. I thought this was the end of summer.
Nope.
You know, like we're taking off next week. We're
Mhm.
just doing reruns and no stories in the Independent, except for
Mhm.
one or two things that might break. But I thought it was the quietest time of the year. But boy,
Never.
there's so much going on in the city. Some big,
Never.
some small.
Mm-hmm.
Got everybody talking. Let's get to the big stuff soon. But you know, sometimes it's the small stuff that gets everybody worked up because it's symbolic.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, $4,000 doesn't make or break a $550 million general budget plus another $200 of special funds. $750 million we spend a year in New Haven. So, you know, $4,000 is a make or break, but people are upset about $4,000. The mayor's office, at a time of fiscal crisis, when they just refunded all our debt to add $84 million that we'll pay down the road just to balance our budget, they spent $4,000 to buy uniforms for the receptionists at City Hall. We didn't write that story. It was broken by New Haven Register and Channel 8. So at first you say, well, $4,000, that's no big deal. And they want them to look nice. Mayor Tony Harp says, anywhere I've worked, you know, you have the receptionist looking sharp. Other people say, we're broke. No other city does this. Just tell them to dress well. Does this matter, folks? What do you think?
The optics of it probably matter more. But it's sort of like when you order a purchase and you're getting a deal on it, and then they hit you with the shipping fee, and you're like, ooh, ouch. So right now, people are in their shipping fee feelings. So
It's a
I think
great
the
analogy.
optics of it kind of hurt the cause because
know,
it looks like,
yeah.
you know, all these, everybody's looking at these little pots of money and seeing if they can add up to like $1 million to help dial back the pain that people say they're feeling over the tax increase.
Well, why do they need uniforms on receptionists?
And have they had uniforms in the past?
No.
No.
I know where the
Okay,
city
but
has them.
Why do they? Why don't we kind of really think about why the need for uniform? Okay, first of all, see, in previous administrations, okay, the people that used to get to work in the mayor's office were always the creme of the creme. Okay, Now this administration is giving opportunities to people that would never have had an opportunity to work in that kind of an environment.
You know what?
So
Wait, Norma, can I just dial back before you go on that?
Yeah.
They used to have, I remember one woman worked there, Lucille, for 20 years, working class woman for John DeStefano and Bendelito. I remember Rosemary Lemley. I'm now looking at Bianca Bowles, who recently worked for both administrations. Mercedes, I see absolutely no difference. I mean, to be fair, there's no difference between the people answering their phone before or after. These were nice people, kind of working class, who knew the political folks, and they got elected because their folks were in to answer the phone. They did a great job. I don't know any difference in class or status.
It's the same reason, Paul, why a lot of schools needed uniforms for their children.
No, there was a little difference on that. There was a little difference on that.
Let her finish why, because this is really interesting. I love that Norma has the bravery to defend this. Okay.
Yes, she does.
I think what was happening is I think the way we dress says a lot about a person, regardless. The first impression is everything in life. Before you even open up your mouth,
Norma, does that
people
mean
look at you.
Have a dress code.
Based on the way you dress, okay? And I think that the mayor probably felt that the way some of the people were coming in dressed was totally inappropriate
Have a dress code
for her office.
Enforce the dress code.
Okay, well, some of them probably couldn't afford.
You know, they get paid
okay.
I think they get paid more than I made most of my life.
You can.
And you can find some nice clothes at the thrift stores around the neighborhood. So as a thrifty chick,
real, thrift shops are very much. Look,
you can get a whole suit
when I first started in corporate America, I told my mom I got promoted in a bank in New York. I came home, I was so excited. The dude told me get a good suit. I came home, told mom. She said okay. She wrote me a check for $500 for a suit,
which was money back then.
A lot of
We're
money.
talking the 1800s, right?
Exactly. Right,
yeah, but your mother could afford to do something like that.
She wrote me
but
a check.
how much of...
No, but hold on. You know what I did, Norma?
Bank 400.
I rolled up in the thrift shop, walked out of there with 7 blazers, 6 pair of slacks, 4 suits.
And 2 guns
blazing. And $200 in your pocket.
Thank you. And money left over in my pocket. Guess what?
You called it Marquisha.
Basics is really, it's just to help people understand. You don't have to spend. Look, I was walking around with Hickey Freeman. I was Yves Saint Laurent was our client, and I was walking around in his suits, which at the time were $1,000.
So Norma, first of all, I think Norma gets an award.
I think it's very cultural, also in terms of the way people dress. Okay, sometimes I remember some of the interns used to go to City Hall in hoodies. I mean.
That's just
because
to me, that's totally inappropriate.
So
and
Norma,
when they get to work, somebody should say,
wait.
don't wear a hoodie to work.
That's right.
Yeah. So Norma, first of all, I think we should honor Norma for having the bravery, being the only human being probably on the planet outside of Tony Harp who thinks this is a good idea. So I think it's good that you have the bravery to defend it. What about what they're saying, Norma? Because everyone's agreeing with you there can be a dress code. Why should the city be paying for $4,000 for uniforms for 3 receptionists and not for clothes for anybody else? And firefighters.
The way we pay for firefighters, for police, and for whoever else we need to pay uniforms for.
So you think all employees?
The United States government pays how much money for uniforms?
So Norma, they pay money for uniforms. Like firefighters say, we can't even afford bulletproof stuff. We don't even get $500 for our uniforms. Most people don't have uniforms. Police and fire do.
But
and specialized equipment. Most 2,000 or more city employees do not. Whether they're in parks, picking up trash, schools, teaching, they have a dress code for teachers, dress code for administrators. The people who run the departments work in the departments. So I guess what I'm trying to understand, Norma, is Marquisha and Joe keep saying have a dress code, enforce the dress code. Why did we need to buy them for those 3?
Perception is everything in life. If you do not look
pleasant
to look at.
They agree.
Okay,
but
they're going to talk about your administration.
But why pay for it? Why not make them pay for it as part of the job, the way the other thousands of people have to?
Well, I'm sure she probably bought it for the first time, and then the rest of them they'll have to pay their own. But at least she's teaching them how you need to come dressed to work in the mayor's office.
Norma, you raised fire department, military, police department. There are reasons for dress codes in those, all the way down to school. The reason behind a fire department is so you can know who is in your unit that's in and out of a fire. That's a dress code.
And there's so special equipment not to die in a fire. Right. They have certain kinds of heat and heat-sensitive stuff. Helmets.
Police department, you know who's friendly or foe. That's why even when a detective come in, his uniform is his badge hanging outside of
and they're out in public. They have to know who the cops. And they also have special equipment to help them in physically difficult
I know
situations.
what it's like.
Military, hold on just one second. Just let me finish. Military, is to identify friend and foe. Schools is to cut back on bullying, cut back on peer pressure, all that stuff. So those are different reasons why we have uniforms in those areas, opposed to being in City Hall, where it's a standard. You could just have a dress code, dress professionally. If you need to break down what professionally means, break it down. No spandex, no Tims, no. If you need to break it up, clubs have dress codes.
And you could also say, like, if you wanted people to wear a uniform, like, as far as the dress code is concerned, you can say the dress code for this office is a white collared shirt and a pair of khaki pants.
What about my shorts I got on today, my Tevas?
You can't work at City Hall. But
Now
and
it's not the day to be working at
shoes.
City Hall.
And closed-toe shoes. I've heard of people whose dress code is so out of whack that one employee, not here at City Hall, but at another establishment here in New Haven, where this person was coming to work in open-toed shoes, like, and that wasn't like, it wasn't professional in that, like, it's professional in our office, but it's not professional in other offices.
Right.
So
if you say wear closed-toe shoes, a pair of khaki, and wear that every day, so if you have to wash that one outfit you had every day or every other day or whatever you need to do to wear that to work every day,
that's what you
wear.
So Norma has supplanted Harry Droz, just for the moment, not for good, being the bravest person in New Haven, willing to say that 3 specific employees with full-time salaries and benefits at the City Hall should get paid uniforms at a time of fiscal crisis. But I'm going to give Harry Droz one shot. Harry Droz, any thoughts on this?
Not really. I agree with Joe and Markeisha. I have to go against
Sorry, Norma.
No, but you know what?
So you're part of the sheeple.
Just
you agree
think
with
of it.
99.9% New Haven.
You know what? I think there's a lot of private stuff. If the mayor would spend that kind of money to buy people uniforms, have you ever tried to sit down with someone that doesn't take a bath, that, comes to work with rags and stinky? How do you tell that person, you know what? It's not easy
Norma,
to do that.
These aren't the people I know in the mayor's office. They are very professional.
They are, exactly.
They make money. They're professional people.
But even so, Paul, she asked a question, and I think it's important we answer that question.
Okay.
How do you tell someone who is offending the office with their smell? That's how you tell them.
Although I think Norma's onto something.
That has been done a whole bunch of times, because I remember those kind of conversations taking place in my previous employment, because we had some directors that used to come to work just gotten out of bed without even having taken a shower or anything.
Okay,
and
so
the smell and everything.
This is going to be our segment next. So Norma, I think, is hinting at something I'm going to get. I'm just going to remind you, listening to Pundit Friday on WNHH 103.5 FM. Tracy Franklin, Silk Duo, Cal Wave Hello on Facebook. Thank you.
Girl.
So there's one of those 3 people who got the uniforms. This was a few months ago. No longer works in the mayor's office. She works downstairs. She got changed. Unlike the other 2 people currently there, she clearly was having some personal problems in her life. I have a feeling that's what Norma's hinting at. And it has been discovered this week that she allegedly stole a city credit card and spent $11,000 to pay for her housing in a temporary hotel room.
Was she having problems with homelessness?
She was not living anywhere. She left her apartment. She, unlike those there, was obviously, I have a feeling Norma was going in that. And that now she, on Wednesday, got fired. Thursday, police opened investigation. I feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Good person, but obviously can't do that kind of thing. So she had been working. We're not mentioning names on this because we don't mention people accused without getting their side and see if they're found guilty, unless they have important, high-ranking public positions, public figure. But she clearly was in trouble. She was one of the 3 people who got the uniforms. Now the story broke months after those uniforms came to light, and she was working downstairs, and now she's not working at all. What about that? Does that look bad for the city? Now, she stole $11,000. The city caught it in an audit. They immediately fired her when they caught her within 24 hours, and they are notifying the police. I tend to think that, I have to admit, Norma, I think that even though that uniform thing is almost no money, on several levels, I think it's so completely outrageous and broken. We just went $84 million in hock with a totally dangerous, irresponsible debt refunding to keep our government alive. And after a round of steps that look so bad, and it matters how things look when the city is already upset about tax increases and broken finances, spend that money. So I do think this $4,000 thing does show some kind of maybe tone
Compassion.
deaf. Yeah, and maybe tone deafness.
But Paul, there was a serious problem with this whole story, and I think somebody needs to apologize to Mercedes, because in the New Haven Register,
To whom?
One of the people got it.
Mercedes, who works
They
in the
took her
mayor's
picture.
office, okay? Here, there's a picture of her with her uniform, because they mixed two articles close by. So they have a picture of Mercedes, and then they have the headlines of city employee, credit card fraud.
So it makes it
So
look like
it
she did it.
appears
She
It's
wasn't
not
it.
her.
as if it was Mercedes. So it's not fair that the
It's
name of the
not
person is
fair.
not being said, and now the
Well, but the
perception out
register does
there.
put
The
the name.
register does put the name.
They did put the name in
We
the
don't put
article.
no name,
So
and we
the
don't have a photo.
perception out there is that
That it's Mercedes,
since
but it's
the
not.
girl has a Spanish name also, okay?
Mhm.
Oh, my.
So they're assuming that this is the picture of the girl.
So what about the 11,000? Any thoughts on that?
Okay?
I didn't have a problem. I thought the administration handled that quite right.
Yeah.
They handled that
And
right, but
again
it
with-
sounds like mixing the uniform thing with that. Is
Yeah.
that had they maybe addressed the person who was having the problem specifically,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Mm,
making a blanket change to the dress code
yeah.
and spending money on it? Like they actually probably could have addressed her. Maybe her colleagues would have wanted to take up money to help her with her situation, would have offered her a room to stay. And
Yeah.
if had she felt comfortable going to them about her situation and having a private conversation and saying, look, I'm homeless.
Mhm.
I don't have anywhere to live, and this is why. And
But you
I
know,
was
that is-
tempted to steal,
yeah, right.
but here's this credit card back. Is there anything y'all can do to help me?
And he thought Harry Joe seemed like he had a lot to say about this.
Go, Eric, go.
I don't have a lot to say about it. My thought on it is I feel bad for the person that they had to stoop to that level. I would almost hope that they would find a way to, I don't know, forgive her in a rehabilitative way or something. But and then
Second chance here, huh?
second chance, and then
Second
But not
chance,
willing to give
Harry.
Ganem a second chance, right?
Uh-oh. Shots
Or-
fired. Shots fired.
No.
here we go.
Shots fired.
He voted for Ganem, so I can't even go at him
That's
on
true.
that.
That's true.
Yeah. But that was a good that's a good point.
But
Roll
another
that at Paul next time.
another thing about the employees, like you were saying, if somebody has a odor problem and all of that, I had to deal with that. I supervised somebody who I brought into an office, and they cried like a baby when I had that conversation with them. They almost had me crying because of it, because it's embarrassing. But I don't know how there was any other way. I was trying to avoid it. Actually, I avoided it for a month before I finally talked to the
Look, I
person.
had that situation over at the station, and it's a very close environment where I had to help someone understand, okay, here's the situation. You're making the rest of individuals in the office space uncomfortable.
Let me
And-
complicate your narrative, though. I read a story about a woman who actually has a medical condition
Mhm.
that caused her to produce an odor.
Mm.
What do you tell that woman? Do you fire her?
No, she has a medical issue. That's the
But if
difference.
there's
But
no way to treat it, like she's trying to treat it, but it doesn't, it's not
Right.
working.
So now we have to deal with it from a medical issue. That's the difference. You can't discriminate against people with medical issues. It's like I hear what you're saying, but the approach has to be different. But if it's someone who has a situation, and maybe they don't even know they have a medical issue, and that could be part of the narrative. Could be, hey, I've heard situations where people have a medical issue, and I think you should go and get it checked because it could be worse than you think it is.
Is the city government Titanic? One commenter suggested we're rearranging deck chairs in the Titanic.
Oh.
City government.
I missed the
We're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
And-
Meaning
and
doing
these
nothing,
things
the
don't
ship's
matter.
going down.
comment.
These
Okay.
things don't matter.
Okay. Okay, that one went right over my
and,
head.
and that probably is the bigger issue. Like, how do we get substantive savings? And it looks like where we get substantive savings is how do we, the same types of give backs that unions have been doing at the state level, can we get some of that at the city level?
Well, now Carol Burks is the superintendent of schools. She's been here a few months. She's trying to get some.
She's
big
not rearranging
changes.
deck chairs.
She is going after
She is
structural costs.
Going after sacred cows,
and
apparently.
she's going after sacred cows in a lot of ways, and she's very interesting. because people don't like that in New Haven. They say,
They
come here
do
and go
not.
with the sacred cow.
They
It's
said,
broken.
save me money, but don't affect
As
my
soon as
life
they-
at all.
So one thing she did that Christopher Peake got through a Free Information Act request, she found out that she told a bunch of principals who get paid to work 12 months a year. They kind of get the easier summer. They had to start overseeing some summer school programs, and she didn't pay them extra because they said your contract says 12 months.
12 months.
So, but we weren't doing that before. We want to get paid extra. Our readers are obviously on Carol Brooks' side on this one. What do you folks think? Because they make six figures.
They're real.
I'm like, if she's within her contractual
Right.
provisions, I say you're going to have to eat those costs or find somewhere else to work.
And then she wanted to lay off guidance counselors and school specialists like reading specialist library. And it's because she said we had such a big deficit. We're going to have to do layoffs, so we're going to make sure to protect teachers in the classroom with that certification. She got political blowback. It got delayed, but in the end this week it did go through. She's cut. There's no way to have solutions that don't hurt.
Right.
Of course, we need guidance counselors and library specialists.
Wow.
But of course, we also.
But I need people
to help kids go to college. You kidding? The kids have such a disadvantage in
okay.
cities.
You see, that's the one thing right there that this is the big thing that's been going on since I was in high school. Guidance counselor. How did your guidance counselor work?
my guidance counselor was one person, and she had like 300 seniors, and so
Okay.
I never saw her. I went
Never saw
into her file
Right.
cabinet and got my application.
But you go to
myself.
privileged school districts, and they help their kids get to college. They work on their
Well,
essays. They
I
give
was
advice.
about New
my
Haven.
my school system,
Right.
because we only had 2 high schools and it was next to a military base. We were considered privileged school systems. We weren't we
Right.
weren't like Savannah Country Day School. But at the same time, given the level of federal money that our school system was getting, they could have hired more guidance counselors. They finally built a new high school so we could actually get through the hallways, but that was way after I left.
I'll tell you right now.
That's how you learn to run track.
My God.
Nope, play basketball.
Oh, you play basketball.
Got stick and move.
My guidance counselor did anything to guide me. No.
Is that good?
It was terrible.
Oh, so
It was
then why is
terrible.
she? Why do
I
you
mean,
say we
so-
don't need guidance counselors?
So it's
He's
not
saying
needed.
because he doesn't know what they do.
I don't know what they do.
I
I
watched
think
them,
guidance counselors can
No,
have
I watched
a
a
good
big
ones can
effect.
have a tremendous impact.
but they have 2
on-
big loads, like Marquisha was
But the loads
saying.
are big.
Right.
I watched them. They get like 7 seconds a kid. They got to sign the
Okay, so
schedule.
then, but what is
I think
People
she,
wanna
I
have
think my
more.
guidance counselor
My
was
point is
overwhelmed.
if
She
you-
took the year off. Like she's
if
not
you're
coming
not
to work.
Yeah. If you're not going to have effective, the job being done effective, what are we just filling it just to say that we have it? Is that what it is?
No, some people say we should have more of them so it could be done effectively
Yeah.
rather than fewer and then not to do them well.
Well, the fewer that they have. What they
I-
have
Anyway,
right
we
now is
can't
not
afford it,
working.
right? It's either that or the teacher. And
Exactly.
Carol
Why
Brooks
don't-
said we're going to
no.
have the teacher.
And that's what she was tasked with. Like people
Yeah.
said, save the cuts, like keep them
Yeah.
away from the classroom.
Mhm.
Here's what I need. I need a year from now for people not to get amnesia. For people to be like, oh, my kids don't have this thing and they don't have that thing. Do you remember our deficit? Do you remember?
Mhm.
Do you remember how we got out of the hole? I don't want her, like, I don't want to hear from people a year from now who don't want to pay more taxes,
Mhm.
who want a lot of things for their kids. We all do. I want our kids to have the best of everything. And I want every kid to have that, regardless of where you live. But I don't want people to get amnesia a year from now. Don't get amnesia. Put it on your wall. Put it next to your kids' macaroni projects on your fridge that we had to cut because we wouldn't pay more. That's what I want.
Marquisha Ricks, go. So Carol Brooks, the superintendent, is in a new controversy today. This isn't about, it stems from the budget cuts, but it's not a budget issue. There's a school in New Haven called New Haven Academy. It's considered nationally known for pioneering a different approach to schools, small school approach. It's a high school with a curriculum called Facing History, Face Ourselves, based on the Holocaust, but looking at all different people's traditions of genocide and other tragedies and how you would have the students learn history by putting themselves in the positions of people who had to make major decisions in history, whether it's Gandhi or who else, and then how you decide. Combined with big civics curriculum where you have to do projects in New Haven to graduate, where you're going to address a problem in New Haven, then go out and do it. And it's just a great
Very
school.
social justice oriented.
And
school.
they were founded 15 years ago by this idealistic couple, Greg Baldwin and Meredith Gathering. Early on, they said, because of nepotism, we can't report to each other. They made Greg the principal, and then Meredith reported to a central office administrator, director of instruction, so that her husband wasn't grading her performance and that kind of stuff. Carol Brooks, to save money, got rid of that position. But she did assign those duties to some new positions she created, assistant superintendents. So Meredith Gathering said, well, I'll report to them then. And Brooks said, nope, you can't work in that building. Yeah, I've dusted off a nepotism policy because there are a lot of, because she's dealing with something bigger. There are schools you don't have to mention yet where a lot of family members work in the same place, which is okay. And how do you deal with this? The question, right? Maybe it's not okay.
Maybe they don't.
But anyway, she said gone. And the school's in an uproar. This is just days before the school year starts. These people have guided the
So
whole time.
is Meredith without a job over this
She said you can
decision?
work in other buildings. She said, I'm not going to work in another building. I'll quit if you don't, because she said, we developed this. We know how to run this. You're not going to have it run the same way. And I guess Carol Burke's position must be, I'm running the schools. You don't. There are no individuals that are more important than the institutions.
Wow.
And I care about this nepotism policy. The other side and the school was saying it's working great. They found a way to solution the nepotism policy. So there's going to be an uproar about this for days. There are all sorts of petition stuff being started this morning. It's going to come to a head at Monday's Board of Ed meeting. Any thoughts on this?
I guess my overarching thought process is maybe it's the right decision based on the policy. It may be the wrong decision based on the outcome.
So you don't think it's okay to have someone just report to somebody else?
No, I think that is, but like maybe because she's new and like because our superintendent is new, but so she eliminated the position that
No,
Meredith
she's going to
used
put someone else in Meredith's position.
So they would get another principal.
Assistant principal, sort of. That's a different title.
I don't
So
know.
she and her husband
But
founded the school, guided it. They're kind of national spokespeople for this.
Exactly. And if we had like the types of if we had a system that like there are always school systems that have that one school that seems to have some type of special thing. Like people think Foot School is a special school in a particular way, but
And
it's
New
not.
Haven
It's
has
a
a
public
couple,
school.
but
And
this
so
is
New
a
Haven has
couple.
a couple. Oh, this is hard. It's a hard
I think
decision.
New Haven has too many
It's a hard
schools. They really need to
decision.
consolidate.
But they just spent $44 million on this one.
It doesn't
Yeah, to
matter. They need
rebuild
to
it.
sell
It's
that.
a
Why
new
don't they
school.
privately sell it?
been
Not
wondering
to
about that, Norma.
a nonprofit institution, but to a for-profit institution. I mean, a private institution.
But do you decimate a school that is doing so well?
Yeah, and
but
it's
the
separate from
problem
NHA.
is,
I've been
why
thinking about Norma's
why
thing.
should special kids? Why should kids get special treatment over others that don't have
Okay,
it?
What if
so-
you assign special treatment as a good school, and why don't you make all the schools good so everybody gets
Right.
that, rather than
So
eliminate
why
the schools
can't
that
they
are
all be
succeeding?
the same way? So take these people that are making this school so great and put them into a school that's not great, so that then they can change it and it could be a good school.
What
But
do
if
you do
we
in the
had to
meantime
do
when it's
that, you
working?
do that to New Haven Academy. You do it to
Hooker.
what's the other
But
school?
these are the
farm
small.
school.
These are the
Oh,
small schools.
Common Ground.
You know,
Yeah.
these small
And
schools.
I think because we're these schools that have these themes, this is
Where else do you
it's a
have this
really
this
tough
kind of where
decision.
you have these all? And how much do all these buildings cost?
$44 million in this case.
You know,
Well, that's a separate issue that I've been thinking
that
a
is
lot
a
about
separate
too, Norma. I've been wondering
too
with
many
like why don't we?
schools.
Why
so you
we
don't
stop
ever
the
want to
school
sell a building for
program?
one. She said something key there, Norma. She said, "Don't sell it to a nonprofit," because I've been thinking we spent $1.6 billion building all our schools, and kids deserve a nice school. We have a lot of small schools. I actually would not close New Haven Academy because I think when you have a great school that everyone's dying to get
Yeah.
into, you don't kill it. You make the other ones good. But separate from that, those two sides of that, I think Norma's onto something. I've been wondering for a budget problem. A lot of times politicians solve a budget problem for a year by selling school, and that's not good. That's one-time revenue. But as Norma said, if you sold some of these beautiful buildings to a for-profit, not only does you get the one-time revenue, which shouldn't count, or maybe spread that over a couple of years so that you're responsible, but if it goes on the tax roll. So I don't know if you can or not with the market. If you get a beautiful school like New Haven Academy, I want to do it with New Haven Academy, but we have a lot
That's
of
a brand
schools.
new school.
But there are a lot of other schools maybe we could sell where the schools aren't doing well anyway. Could you get apartments in those and have them go on the tax
Well, I don't know
rolls?
what happens with the strong school. That's still not apartments yet, is it?
But it has someone who wanted to do a market
They
rate
did,
apartment.
and you saw what happened to that.
Politics killed it, but maybe that
Will
is the
politics
right way.
kill the rest of them?
I'm just wondering whether that might be a solution, whether we consolidate some of these schools, as Norma says.
I'm not
And
saying
try
not
not
do
to
it.
do
I'm just saying
nonprofits.
we've not been successful.
You
with
know,
doing it.
the best
That's a good point.
person. I don't really know her because I've never really had an opportunity to speak to her personally, Dr. Burke. But if you really analyze the job that she came here to do, okay, she came here not really knowing anyone at all
Except
So-
Boise Kimber.
except Bosie Kimber. So
And
that's
she-
his only
I wouldn't
sacred
say that
cow.
she
okay.
knows some people.
Actually, she did. She has an
But does
sorority.
she know a
There's a
lot
whole
of
sorority behind
administrators?
her.
Does she know a lot of
Yes,
administrators?
'cause a lot of the administrators are in the sorority. So
Okay. Well, see, maybe that's a
I mean,
problem that we're dealing
just
here
how
with
we
the
do.
sororities, because we talk about the unions, okay? We talk about politics, and now we have to
I don't
include
think
this
that's fair,
other
Norma.
segment
That's not fair.
of the
yeah, no.
sororities.
So no, slow down. Time.
No,
out.
then you
time
have
out, 'cause
these
you-
groups
'cause
of
time
people
out,
that are controlling
time
everything.
Out, Norma. Time out. Time out. time out, because I'm in the sorority that you speak of, and we already have a problem with folks misusing that idea.
But you're the one who just mentioned it and said it.
I did not say that the sorority gives her any type of advantages. I'm saying that she knows people just like I knew people because I have the instant rapport of being in that same organization. But Paul Bass is not in that sorority, and he didn't hire me because I'm in that sorority. And I think it would be very nefarious. It'd be very spurious to say that people are getting jobs or getting special treatment because of the sorority.
And just to be fair, Norma,
let's not
everyone
do that.
did have these concerns about who she knew, and she's gotten everyone mad.
Exactly.
Because it's the beginning of your comment, which I thought was a really good comment,
I
Norma.
didn't even get to finish my
So
comment.
No, because you were going down on a path, and I had to.
Okay.
You were saying she's made
cut
tough
you off.
decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I am saying is, so she comes in, she's making very tough decisions. She's moving people, okay, because she's
I'm
playing
with you.
human chess,
Yep.
okay? And she's
Absolutely.
moving them because she feels that this would be the correct place for these folks, okay? And in the process, she's touching sacred
Joe.
cows.
Absolutely.
In the process, she's touching sacred cows. But then now that is all being the one who has to pay for all the moves that she's making is the mayor, because any move
Who's
that
also
she
the same
makes,
sorority.
the common people, the taxpayers and the citizens blame the mayor for any moves that she makes.
And the mayor did hire her.
here
She
you
And the
told
mayor
are-
hired her, and the mayor's on the board of education, and subsequently
Here
has
you
to
are,
approve those.
if you are a 12-month employee, okay, and you really care about your job as an administrator and as a teacher, and they give you new responsibility, they change you to a new place, you know, let's see where we're really coming from, okay? And what's happening is you have folks that don't want to at all change because they've done it this way all along, and if you make them change, then you know what? They have issues with it. And they blame the mayor for everything.
So is the mayor part of the sorority?
She is.
Oh, there goes the problem.
So,
Why do you like trolling so much? Oh my God! You know.
and Norma just explained how it's not the problem, which is
Yeah.
Carol
Right.
Burks has had to make tough decisions.
She's gotten everyone mad,
she's
including
not,
her sorority.
And she's not like based them on those types of connections. When she's clearly trying not to play politics. So hats off to her for that, because our town
Hats
is a
off to her.
political town.
I think she got
It's a political
she got
town.
under the people who brought her here knifed her in the back the second she tried to make
Absolutely.
tough decisions.
Absolutely. And what did she do? She bleeding, but she's still making.
But she
decisions.
took the job. She knew that was the deal.
Exactly.
And, you know, I was thinking about this talking to Babs. So every trait that someone has a plus and a minus, right?
Mhm.
So there was this feeling we needed someone who's tough to make tough decisions because the schools were broken and the budget was broken. So we wanted someone to come in here and say, make smart, tough decisions even if they hurt. Then they all started jumping on Carol Burks because she has that strength and that's an ability. She came in here. She didn't do it on
She
day
did
one.
what she was supposed to
She
do.
took a strong look at things and said, okay, here's how I'm changing things wrong. Like, I happen to disagree with her in New Haven Academy. But in general, she's making tough decisions, right? And she's no dummy. She's making them with some thought. And then the downside of that is people say, well, she often makes these decisions without talking to enough people in a thoughtful way. Now, that is an important thing to do, but it also sometimes becomes code for check with the power brokers who make sure their friends are taken care of and their money's taken care of so that you don't make the decisions we don't like. So it's a tough one. There are other people in town who are really good at being the whole collaborative. They always talk about that table. We'll get everyone around the table. It takes 9 months. You have 20 tables, then you sort of make a decision.
And you still don't make like any
We didn't
substantive
want that for
decision.
school superintendent. We wanted someone who didn't sit around the table for 9 years. They sat around the table for a week, and then they made some decisions. So we're going to disagree with some of them. But until we learn things I might not know, I would say that on balance, this is what we asked for, right? And she's doing what we asked her to
It's
do.
the same way during the Logue. This reminds me so much of the Logue administration. When Logue came in, what did he do? He dismantled a lot of things. He got rid of the assistant directors and brought in outreach workers, and that cost him his election the following year. Because what happened is all of the people that he moved and everything,
that what
they
really
got
caused him?
politically involved, and they made sure he didn't get
No,
elected
we're
the
talking.
following
No,
year.
we're talking
Is
about
that-
1976 to
Yes, we are.
January
Oh my
1980.
God, it was before
Yes.
I was born.
Frank
You weren't
Loeb
even
was the
born.
mayor.
That's
We
right.
are
He knocked
talking
out
about
the
History has a
It is.
tendency of repeating itself,
That's
but with
true.
different players.
Yeah, but how did Mayor Logue really lose?
Yeah.
How did he really lose?
Hank Parker kissed
Thank
Arthur
you.
Barberi's ring.
The kiss of the ring. That was a split. The Democratic Party got split
Three
by-
ways.
That's right. Between Ham Parker, Mayor Logue, and Bender.
That
Because-
was the strategy of
and-
how it got done. But why did it get done?
I think
It's
it's,
not
a
the
common,
strategy.
I think you're
It's
both
the
right,
reason.
folks. There were many factors. Frank Lowe got rid of a
That-
police chief who illegally wiretapped radicals and
That's right.
African Americans.
Right.
So the East Shore revolted and said, now we're going to make him the mayor because you got him in police chief, you darn liberals. The first time they failed because it was a one-on-one race. So then they got a black liberal prominent person to run
The former
to split
chief
the vote.
himself. Yeah,
To-
But
to
then
split
all
the
of the
vote.
Republicans from East Shore, okay, became Democrats.
yeah,
So that they
But-
could vote for DeLito.
right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep, Joe
So we have a
DiMatteo did
lot of
that.
They sure did.
infiltrated Republicans in the Democratic
So let's
Party.
follow that one. The Republican
hey,
town chairman.
You got to be in power to have power.
The
so.
Republican town chairman at that time, Joe DiMatteo,
Mhm.
lovely guy. He's dead. I don't want to speak ill of dead. He knew how to operate. So
Mm-hmm.
he was the Republican town chairman. He said, "We'll register thousands of people to be Democrats so that you'll win the primary."
Right.
Then he became the head of a city department that was steering improper loans to people illegally, and he went to jail. And Donald Trump would have liked him. He didn't rat on anybody. So when he came out and they didn't take anyone else down, they then used city money to put Don Stefano to put him in business. That became a front for fencing and other illegal use of loans. So they had to shut that one down too and raid him. That's how politics did used to work in New Haven. So when people get upset about $4,000 illegally obtained uniforms, remember how things used to work to the tunes of millions.
Illegally. Why did they say illegally obtained?
Which one?
The
No,
4,000.
legally.
No, that
legally.
wasn't
Legally.
it.
No
That
one
wasn't
broke the
illegal.
law.
Okay.
No one
No,
spent
it was
millions of
completely
dollars to
legal.
give friends who were in the mob.
No.
I'm sorry I said that,
No.
but it was true.
It was
You know, that stuff used to happen, folks.
You know,
We
the
are
mayor's
talking about different things.
compassionate heart.
We've come a long
Okay?
way.
The mayor's compassionate heart. People do not relate to.
It's true. They
Okay.
want coldness. But
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't mean that every decision made with a compassionate heart was done the
Is
right
a
way.
good decision.
It just means you shouldn't hate on the mayor. You shouldn't say she's bad, she had bad motives. You could say you disagree with that way of carrying it out,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, I actually think, now, like once we connected the two stories of what happened with the one employee.
If it's true, 'cause
the sorority thing that
No,
you talk about.
I'm on a different thing. I'm on the uniform thing.
You were loving that.
That it was a compassionate, that was a compassionate decision that just kind of went a bit far.
Yeah.
To make a compassionate, like to not make it a big deal, but like.
But it
more
is a big
compassionate.
deal when you listen.
Tomorrow, Burke will leave, okay?
No, she won't.
She will leave,
Why won't
okay?
she leave?
Because
Why do you want to leave?
Why you want to
and you know what?
You
Who
just
will
agreed
end
with
up
that she's
paying the
making tough
consequences of
decisions.
all her actions? The mayor.
Well,
Okay.
the mayor hired her, so I
You
think
heard it
she's
here
down for
first
those
from Norma
consequences.
Rodriguez Reyes on Pundit Friday on WNHH 103.5 FM, live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. We're running down the stories of the week, and what a week it's been. Reverend Marshatz died. Reverend Abraham Marshatz built up the church, started the Jacob Church. I believe it was two
Church, is it?
churches in the end, first in the Hill and then
My
Fairhaven,
church.
right? Leading Latino church in town. He was definitely a powerful figure, important figure. Besides building up the congregations, played Cudamite roles from housing to Black Panther days, working with some of the fallout in the neighborhoods. That was back in the 70s. Died at 73 years old. Norma, you go to his church. Was he still at the one in the Hill, or did he go to the one at Fairhaven?
83. No, he found it. I mean, he didn't found it, but he built 506 Howard Avenue. You know what? I kind of
I thought there's a new minister there. I went to
there,
your,
yeah. His name is Reverend Caesar
So what happened to
Velez.
Marshatz?
Marshatz retired.
Oh,
He went to Florida and then just came back for his final years because he
interesting.
felt, and everyone, even our own congregation felt. But I was trying to figure out because I know, for instance, in the Jewish religion, they have the Orthodox Jews and then they have the liberal Jews. In the African American community, do we have any churches that are considered liberal churches and then the dogmatic ones? Like which church is very dogmatic and which church? Because I remember Reverend Edmund's church at one time, that was considered the church that all of the educated African Americans,
And the church directory used to be a Venn diagram with the employment list of the board head, but that's another
Oh gosh!
question. Yeah.
And I mean, I think
Norma?
there's a difference between prominence and conservative and,
Yeah.
and liberal, because like you have denominations that are much more conservative, but some people are like new church type of thing, like, and they get involved in whatever the most popular church is. So,
Norma,
but I get where you're going with that.
we're leading the chart on segregation.
no, but listen, the
So tell us
interesting
about.
stuff
So which
about,
side was Marshatz
about
on? Was he a
Marshatz-
fundamentalist or was he a change
in the
person?
beginning, he was a serious fundamentalist, but then he evolved as we became, because he promoted, and he was the only one, because at that time there were only 3 Pentecostal churches, okay? And the other 2 were seriously dogmatic. I mean, very orthodox, kind of orthodox Pentecostal. You couldn't shave your legs, you couldn't cut your hair, you couldn't use
Wear
any
nail
kind of
polish and
makeup.
no pants or anything,
Mhm.
and still to this day, there's some churches that really, promote that. But
We're highly
see,
integrated now.
Marsage.
It's not like that in the black church. We're just highly.
Well, that's why I was
We're
trying to
leading the
figure
charge.
out if there's any church
It's-
that's that
Which
dogmatic
denomination?
So tell
in
me
the
about
African
Marcia's-
American
Tell
Tell me
doing
about
that?
Marsach's evolution.
Which
Did he-
denomination is
so
doing that?
did he still
Marsage-
preach against gays till the end?
I,
I know the
I
Latino
think he learned
Pentecostal
how
church
to
there.
just leave that subject alone. You know, they just kind of don't
Avoid
talk
it.
about
That's
it.
even
They don't
worse.
go
'Cause I
there
remember you
anymore.
took me to
Evil.
Star Jacob in Fairhaven when they were railing against Wilbur Cross allowing gay students to have an association in a
Oh my
publication.
God, that is just.
But Marsage promoted. Okay, back in the days, everybody was supposed to be a minister or a missionary or a pastor's wife. But Marsage promoted education, secular education. And I remember I was the first one to go away to college from that church. And back then, good girls did
I mean,
not
the
go to
first girl.
college.
The first girl.
The first to go away to college.
First girl, not first person.
Yeah, the first. No, the first
No
person
males,
from our church.
No males ever went to college
No.
either?
No,
'Cause I
because
remember
they
you
were
got a
all
lot
pushed
of-
to being pastors
Because
and
you got
They
a
didn't go
hard-
to
you got-
Bible college or anything?
Because you got a
Bible
hard
Oh yeah, they
time.
went to Bible college.
Okay.
Okay, but
And didn't you get a hard time for being a female in your community going to college
oh
too?
yeah, like for instance, good girls did not go away to college. But
Got
see,
married,
the
had babies.
important thing about me was I went away to college, but then I came back. Because I wanted to let them know I could have very easily gone someplace else, gone and moved into a nice lily white neighborhood, but that just was not me. I came back to the church to let them know the same way I got educated and I came from the Hill, which was a very poor area, okay, they could too. And then what happened is more and more girls and guys started educating, and all of the Latino political elected officials back in the day, they all came from Star of Jacob.
Now, was the Second Star Jacob affiliated with Marsage?
Yes,
That's
because
in
from
Fairhaven.
that church, Marsage also mentored a lot of new ministers that went out and opened up other churches. We have Second Star of Jacob, which is the one on Ferry Street, and then we have Third Star of Jacob, which is Chatham or Peck Street or something
And
like
is that because Latino population used to be concentrated in the Hill, and then Fairhaven became the second Latino heavy neighborhood, so the church followed them?
Yes.
So what did you think about him personally? You stuck with him for decades.
Yes.
You stuck with Marsage's church. What was special about Marsage? Why did he make a difference in your life and the community's life?
Him and his wife, see, Margarita, she was from New York. There's a big difference from the New York Puerto Ricans than from the ones that come from the island to Connecticut. Remember I mentioned that the Puerto Ricans in Connecticut, the reason we have not gone up the socioeconomic status a lot faster is because most of us are all farmers. The ones that came here originally were, farmers. And so they didn't have formal education. So it wasn't even my generation that went to college. It's my kids' generation that are going to college. So Marsage's wife, Margarita, she came from New York City. She was an educated woman. And she came and she provided that secular education. And so she was very helpful. She was good for Marsage. And she gave up of herself so that he could be the leader, which is where a lot of Latina women come from. They rather not shine and let their husbands shine. And to this day, it's still, no matter what generation you're from, we still do that.
I've watched you, Norma, struggle with that because you are a person who leads in civic
but I
organizations
enjoy being the power behind
and
the
your
throne.
business.
That's a more
But
powerful
I've always
position.
watched you have trouble call attention to yourself, but not have trouble taking leadership and making the decisions.
Yeah, I like to make other people shine. And then if I help them shine, then I feel good.
You said I shine a little too.
Yeah.
Like take, for example, today, Pundit Friday,
Shine
which you've been
on, Norma,
listening to
shine
at
on.
103.5 FM, live stream to herein.org.
The music.
I think Norma Rodriguez Reyes
The
made
Oscar
us all
music.
shine today. She was gutsy. She took some positions we didn't agree with, others that made us think, and others we agreed with. And in all cases, we love you.
What's the
Thank
deal with
you.
the
We do love
sorority
you.
thing now?
We love you guys.
She doesn't
I'm
dislike
jealous
the sorority.
that we didn't have a sorority. You know what we did?
She doesn't hate the sorority. I just had to clear some facts.
Oh no! Are you kidding me? I'm jealous that I didn't grow up in a sorority.
But you
Oh,
did
know?
have Star Jacob Church.
But I had, I had
Yeah,
the,
New Year's
I
Eve when
had
you're
the
up till 7 in the
misioneritas.
morning.
Don't be
all
messy.
evenings.
Yeah.
Don't be messy.
I had, and the
Don't
youth
make me get my
society
people
of the
on you,
church.
Joe Ugly.
Well, folks, we're going to take a
I'm
week
looking
off.
for a-
I
Next
know,
week,
we're gonna
if
miss
you're listening to
everybody.
this next week, it's a rerun
Okay.
because it's the end of August, week off for the organization. Then we're going to come back rested and ready enjoy Harry Joe's program manager spinning the replays next week, and then we're gonna be back with more of this.
That's 2 weeks for me, by the way.
Oh, yeah, where you headed?
Why? Where are you going?
Arizona. Going to the desert.
Anti-immigrant rallies.
Isn't it really hot there? What are you doing?
Not where I go.
What are you
But
doing?
it's dry.
What are you doing
It's
there?
a dry heat,
What's
right?
that?
It feels like
That's
heat from
right.
your oven. That's
Well, I hope
terrible.
you have a good time, Joe Ugly, and I hope all our
I'll
listeners have a
take some
great week.
humidity any day.
I want to go to Arizona someday.
So thanks for joining
go
us today in
when it's a
Dateline, New
little more
Haven. Oh, you get a last look at John Kane. He's refusing any more treatment, the senator there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's going to
Oh.
die.
That's too bad.
He had a great career. I
Yes.
dug that guy.
He did.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today in Dateline, New Haven. Thanks to Pundits. Well, Bowser Rosali, we'll see you next time. Hope you had a good time at tennis. Thanks to the best pundits in addition, Marquisha Ricks, Norma Rodriguez-Reyes, Harry Droz, and the many monikered Joe Ugly. We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD A Plea for Peace. Now we know what it's like to be free. We just got to remember to book our flight. Book it and fly free with us all week long at WNHH, New Haven's home for community